Alrighty, guys, we're gonna go into our next one. It's gonna be. Actually, we're gonna go on a new topic right now.
New topic.
We're gonna go on to our next topic. It's gonna be your very first gaming memory. Now, shoot. Tell me which one it is.
First gaming memory. So this is hard because I feel like we're all gonna possibly have the same thoughts on this. It really is kind of hard to know what your first actual gaming moment was, right? Because you probably don't remember it. But what is the first moment you can recall in your brain that is the first time you played a video game? It's not saying it's your favorite game. It's not saying it shaped you as a gamer, but it's the first game you played. Ricky.
All right. So mine, I was probably 3 or 4. I don't know how I remember this, but my aunt used to like to take me to her house on the weekends, but I didn't like going there that
Betty?
much. No, different one. But I guess she got an Atari just so I'd enjoy like being there. She bought an Atari. I guess it was older by then, but she had Galaga, and I literally could not stop playing that. It was so much fun to me. Like it was before I even learned about Mario. I guess Mario had just come out, but dude, I could. My family couldn't afford it.
Wow.
So back in the day, I started off with Galaga and I guess Pac-Man, because that's my first gaming memory was playing in that living room.
Do you think that in any way shaped you, or was that more of a fun experience? I like video games, or was that a driving force to get you to want to play more video games?
So the driving force to get me to play more video games was when my uncle finally got an NES. He I think it was his first job. He bought one. I was maybe 4 or something like that. He was playing Contra, I believe.
What a great first memory.
I wanted to. I couldn't believe how cool that game was. He wouldn't let me play it, but I was so fascinated with it because he was playing the scene where that giant monster with the hands like this.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You're shooting up.
That's the waterfall level boss, right?
God, dude, I can't get that out of my head. When I was a kid, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever!"
So he thought it was too scary to let you play?
No, he's just
didn't want to let you play. Nice. I thought he was like trying to protect you. Like, no, Ricky. That's what he said. No, Ricky, this will scare you.
Because remember, you can steal lives, so I think he was scared that I'd steal his lives.
Oh,
good play.
Good play.
Don't steal my lives,
Christopher.
Do you still like Galaga today?
I actually really do enjoy it still, but arcade only.
Okay. I always feel like sometimes those first memories that you have are like the ones that always stick with you.
Yeah.
And I love Galaga arcade too.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so good.
So, Chris, what was yours?
Mine is Atari as well. I remember being, I must have been 3 or 4 probably too. And my dad, the only time he really ever gamed was he had an Atari console. And I remember he loved River Raid was his game. You ever play River Raid?
Absolutely.
It is such an awesome game. And I remember just sitting there as like a little kid looking at the screen and my dad playing it. And I mean, maybe he handed me the controller once in a while, but I just remember watching him play and just absolutely loving it, being like, this is the greatest game ever. And then I remember getting an NES for Christmas, I think it was. And
so River Raid was your first?
River Raid, yeah.
Wow.
And that was the only game he ever played. He only would play River Raid. And then getting the NES and opening it up and being like, oh, Dad, come check this out. Like, it's Super Mario Brothers. Look at this. And my dad coming over. And I was amazed. I was like, this is unbelievable. And my dad looking at me being like, played it one time and was like, this is garbage.
Midlow trash.
Yeah, and then never played games again his whole life. And I was like, dang, Dad, this is so much better.
Kick Rock's dad.
But this is so much better than River Raid.
Well, I think Mario was one of the first games, or if not the first, correct me, people who are smart, where you weren't on one stagnant screen.
Yeah.
Where the screen is moving with you. I think that might have been, or maybe the first game to do that.
I think it might have felt too kiddie for him. Like playing the Atari games, they weren't very kiddie. You know, like they're elementary.
Atari had such good sound effects.
But they're not kiddie, you know? Like River Raid, like you're going up and you're shooting things and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden it was like Mario running around catching coins. And I think as a 45-year-old guy back in
That's
the 80s. That's
what your dad thought, but really Mario was taking shrooms to get stronger.
Yeah, he was like, what is this?
He didn't realize it's the darkest of all the games.
So he couldn't relate to it. But that's my early.
Say like River Raid and General Custard?
No.
That's
a really bad game.
What's the bad game? Is it General Custard?
Yeah, that's a really bad game. That game is horrendous.
No, I know what it is. Let's
really
not
bad.
talk about what it is, but if you know, you know. If you don't know, maybe don't look it up. My first was on the Sega Master System.
Oh.
As far as I remember. Again, this is as far back as I can remember first playing a video game. I remember I can like picture an Atari being on our floor, but I don't picture it as being the first memory. On the Sega Master System, if you turn it on, there's pre-built games in there. And there's a variety of different games that it could be. I think it could have been Hang On, another game. And the game that I remember playing, the first game ever, was Turning It On. And it's a game called Snail Maze. And all it is one screen, and you're just a snail doing a maze. And I know there's music, but I can't put the music in my head right now. There's music that goes along with it, and it's just a little maze. Over and over and over, repetitive. But I remember playing it for a long time as a kid, right? Because that's your first experience controlling a movie, right? That's what I used to tell my parents. Dude, I'm controlling a movie, right? Like explaining that to my parents, like, you don't realize games are so cool. It's like, imagine if you could make that guy move and do this and that. That's what a game is, even though obviously at the time it doesn't look anything like that. Now obviously it does. But that's what I was enthralled with, right? So I just played it over and over and over. And that's as far back as I can go. I know there was an arcade game too that was one of my first, but I can't pinpoint what it was.
You have older brothers?
Yes, I was the youngest.
So what was that? Your family's first gaming system was a Sega Master System?
I think the Atari was.
The Atari. So there was an Atari in the house?
But I don't even remember watching people play the Atari.
That's just interesting that you guys went... So there was no NES?
There was an NES after.
After.
Atari, Sega Master System, NES.
Atari, but you don't remember the Atari, and then it was just all of a sudden, boom, Sega Master.
That's what's weird, because I guarantee you it was
It's a
on
weird
at my
system to
house.
start on.
That's why I'm.
It was probably on at my house, right? An Atari. Of course they had it. I'm sure my brothers are huge gamers. I'm sure they were playing it, but I don't remember ever even looking at a game, holding a game, anything until Snail Maze.
Do you think your dad bought the Sega Master System?
He's not a gamer.
Who do you think bought it?
Probably Nathan, my oldest brother. He probably convinced
So
him.
he went into the store and there was like an NES, Genesis.
We were poor. So
maybe they were they cheap?
It might have been on clearance for $20.
Yeah, I'm not saying he made a bad choice. I'm just wondering what the logic, how that happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I was born in 85.
Yeah, because there was.
So I should have
NES
rightfully
was like in its
85.
prime.
NES was 85 in Japan, I think. I think it was 86 in North America.
No,
I think.
83 in Japan, and then 86 or 85.
So the Master System was out.
Don't quote us on any of this.
No,
The
I
Master
looked it
System
up.
was out before
now?
the.
No, I just know I saw it yesterday.
Wow.
So
the
83 is when it released in Japan.
Do you think
Okay.
the Master System was out here before the NES was?
No,
You don't
I
have to
think
look
so.
it
I
up.
don't
You don't
think
have to
so
look it
either.
up. Let the
I'm
comments
just
tell
curious
us.
the logic of how
I just know the NES.
the Sega Master System ended up being the first system. Because for most people, that is not their first system.
No.
And I understand why you love it now, too.
I love that choice too, because it's very untypical, if that's a word, of what people played.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, dude, my thing was Sega. Master, like, really? Everyone's
Normally
NES.
NES or Genesis or Super
Or an
Nintendo.
arcade or something.
Yeah, very rarely. Or Atari.
Curioso?
Yeah, because somebody was telling me about like 1983, or like they were asking about the years the systems came out, and I was like, oh, let me look it up. 83, it came out in Japan for NES, and then 1990, the Super Nintendo, and then 96 was the N64.
I'm not quoting any of this.
You guys can look it up. It's fine. I looked it up
I
yesterday.
trust you.
So
I trust you. I'm putting all my trust. Curtis's first one, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, I was going to say PS4.
Hey, quit talking, you pongers.
PS Quad.
Hey. Did you just call him a PS Crotch?
PS Quattro.
No, he wanted to be called PS Crone, dog. That's what I was at. But anyway, one of my favorite gaming memories was either.
No, I need the first.
I know, but I literally cannot like trace either one back the same. They're about the same time. Like I was either at my grandparents' house and I was playing Tetris or Super Mario Bros. 2 on the DMG 001 Game Boy with the
Wow.
green screen.
Yeah.
I remember playing that a ton when I was just like chilling at their house on these old floral couch chairs. And then another one was when it was kind of the same thing. I was like about 4, so I came out in 95, so 99 is when we got our own first system.
Okay.
My mom bought us at Christmas an N64. And I remember it being Christmas and us like unwrapping it, and I just
The classic.
dude, I was like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. We got our own system. And we ended up like, that was like literally the only box system I ever remember unboxing and actually going and setting it up same day, Christmas Day, and having the gray controller and I guess it was just a charcoal system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like anything
there's
crazy.
other options,
it was definitely,
obviously.
it was the budget one for sure.
Yeah.
And I remember we had Mario Kart and Super Smash Bros.
You don't remember which one was first?
They were both in the same day, but
Got
I
it.
would say that Super Smash Bros. Me and my bros were just playing that, and we were just for hours in that day. We were just killing it.
Who's your main again?
Captain Falco, bro.
Captain Falcon? Captain Falco. Captain Falcon. Not me.
Falco punch. That's one of my
Kirby. Who's your main? You
That
don't
was
play
when I was
Smash?
little.
No, I don't
Oh,
play
that's right. You're one of those Mortal Kombat weirdos.
Yeah.
No way, loser.
Reptile. That's my main in Smash.
Reptile is
But
great.
I would say that, like, I mean, as like years progress, you get systems. Like, what was your secondary system to that? Then was it the NES?
The NES for
And
sure.
then you
Atari, then NES.
you didn't have the Jaguar or nothing like that.
No, I had a Sega Saturn. I had a Sega CD.
Wow.
I think we didn't have a TurboGrafx. We might have had a Jaguar.
Dang.
I think we talked about this. I don't know how they all got
Rich.
into the house. But
Isn't that weird? Like you look at this stuff and you're like, where did this
they were not
game
bought
enter
by
my
parents.
house?
I have an older brother, and I think my older brother was buying a lot.
You were stealing from video game stores.
That was you?
running out, smashing
This
grab.
description matches Chris.
Yeah, and then I do remember like the following system to the N64 was an atomic purple Game Boy Color, and I had Pokemon Gold or no
Are you talking about
Pokemon
the
Yellow.
Atomic Purple Game Boy or talking
Yeah.
about the Atomic Purple?
Game Boy.
Okay.
Game Boy, yeah, color. And then I had following was Pokemon games, so it was yellow. And I remember after a game I was playing Little League, and what my dad used to do all the time, he used to like talk to the parents.
Yeah.
So I'd be in the car with no light. I'm like using that like the visor light in the car, trying to see my screen because he'd be out there talking for an hour. And I remember going outside like, "Hey, Dad, like, are we ever gonna leave?" And I left my Game Boy on the bumper.
Oh.
Right? And I was like, can we just kind of go? And he's like, yeah. Like 30 minutes passed. I didn't even think about it. And he finally gets in the car and we drive off. And I'm like, what am I missing? Right?
No.
And I'm like, no. I like start freaking out. I'm like, Dad, I left my Game Boy on the bumper. And literally it was just thrashed in the street when we went back and looked for it. And I was just devastated.
Were you here? In this
and then I
area?
stole my brother's Kiwi Game Boy.
You got to be careful leaving that stuff out in the heat, bro.
Dude, no, I was just like...
Heat will ruin your stuff. Are we
It was
doing
nighttime. It
Are
was
we doing
nighttime.
another one? Or are we finishing with
No,
this one?
we're finishing on this one. That's why...
Then mine, a funny story about heat. Did you guys ever go to VHS rental stores? And sorry, Curtis.
No, you're fine.
Pre-DVD.
Whoa, I have Blockbusters still. I had Hollywood Video every once in a while. Okay, all right.
You go to these rental stores and they would put on the counter melted VHS tapes as a warning to not leave your VHS
remember
tapes in the
those.
sun.
I've never seen that.
Really?
No.
You saw them.
I saw him.
You might even have saw them where I saw them because we kind of grew up in the same area.
Yeah. How did that happen?
We grew up in the hood, bro. Now we're good. We went from hood to good.
Yeah, we went from the hood. Now we good now.
Yeah, man, I remember just seeing those, and it was like always the big warning. There was the Be Kind Rewind next to it, and then right next to it on the other side was just a big old melted VHS tape.
But when we're hunting at Golden West, they're just sitting out in the heat.
But that stuff that never sells, that's why it looks the way it does. It's pure faders. Everything's faded out. All the cartridges are faded out, everything like that. Even shirts, they'll have like the line, on the shoulder, or if they hang them up.
Who was putting their VHS outside anyway?
Just people would like leave them by a window or something.
Maybe
and it
in a
would last.
car.
Yeah, I would
How
say
does it
that.
get like in
Car.
a
I'm
car?
thinking in the car. Maybe.
Oh yeah, with the idea
to
of
be.
like I'm going to return this, and you know how it is. Sometimes you'll leave something in your car, and you're like, it just ends up being there for a week.
Yeah.
It just becomes part one with the car.
Maybe those plastic cases acted like as a heat box.
UV
for 'em.
protectant.
I don't think they were UV protecting. Because the ones at the Swami have that cardboard. so
Oh, if
it-
that plastic melts on
Yeah,
it.
like they're
Exactly.
sitting out in the heat, pretty hot there some days, and I've never seen that happen.
And what do you say,
Very
like,
hot.
what happens to it? Like, if it gets too hot? Like
It just melts.
the inside?
No, the plastic will. It's a very cheap
it's
plastic.
literally like it shrivels up.
It's a cheap plastic. It melts.
On VHSs?
VHSs will literally melt to their core.
I always find it so weird that, like, mold can get into VHS.
That's so
he has
weird.
a mold. Chris has a mold
Dude,
cleaner.
Dealing with VHS mold is a nightmare.
Yeah.
I saw it
We've
at
been
your
cleaning-
store.
Yeah, we've been cleaning like hundreds of tapes. We bought that big lot and
Oh,
a
yeah.
bunch of them had mold. But it's not bad mold. You can get it off.
What does that mean?
It's
Is
not
that just you
black.
saying that so you can sell it? Don't worry, guys, they're good.
No, well, somebody on a YouTube video said it's not bad
Oh,
mold.
then you're good.
But apparently it's white mold, which is like mold that would be on like bread.
This is racist.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, this is going to sound racist. Black mold is bad, but white mold apparently is not bad.
What's the difference between black mold and white mold? I literally have no
I don't know.
idea.
When I see white mold, I'm like,
White mold, white mold you
breathe
can wipe
it all
off.
in.
Black mold, like
You guys hold this
cardboard.
conversation while I look it up right now. The difference between black mold and white mold.
Because
Yeah.
white mold's like the first stage.
I think it's like bread mold.
yeah,
And that was on some of the DVDs that you got from that Connecticut buyout,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Yep.
Are you still getting them in store right now? Like, are you still fixing them?
I finally processed the last of that. That took about 8 months. That was
Jeez.
a long.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think
time.
about it. He bought it literally at the New Year's, so
Yeah.
Here we go. According to the internet, the most trusted place in the world It's all crap. The most obvious difference between white and black mold is color. Wow. Well, we were correct about the racist part. While white mold ranges in color from white to light green, black mold shows up as a dark green or a black color. Black mold is more difficult to remove than white, too. Beyond that, black mold is known for being particularly dangerous.
Toxic,
It's just straight up more dangerous. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I see the white mold, I'm just like, give me that white mold. It's so good.
You know what the worst feeling is? When you
What?
pick up like an orange that's been in there for like a month and it has the white mold and your finger just goes through it.
Oh,
You ever get that?
it's a green.
I've bit into one once, bro.
Ew.
I bit into one once and thought I was gonna die. That was like pure vomit. Actually, my best pure vomit story ever at where I work at my job. This has nothing to do with it, but I have to tell a story. I was working at my job and I always would keep a water bottle next to me in my cup holder. And that was where I would eat my sunflower seeds and put my remainder in, right? And I called in sick one day and I was gone. I came back to my truck and, didn't think anything of it. I moved like a couple of the water bottles around. You have one cup holder here, one cup holder there. And I'm not looking. I'm just kind of driving and I kind of shuffle the water bottles around. And I just grab my water bottle and I start chugging. And I was like, oh, I think I got the one with like the water and the sunflower seeds in there, or the sunflower seeds, whatever seeds they were, sunflower seeds in there. And I look down and I'm like, as I'm drinking, I'm like, man, my water bottle looks like a little more like black coloring than I would have expected. And I realized, come to find out, this guy named Josh, I'll never forgive you, Josh.
Yes, I know.
He borrowed my car and was using as his tobacco spit bucket.
Oh, dude, that's happened to me.
I wanted to die when he told me because even after I drank it and realized, I was like, dude, what the crap did I just drink?
It literally is making me.
No, I
vomit.
literally was gagging. But then when he told me, I went in the office like, dude, what happened to my truck? Did somebody? Oh yeah, Josh borrowed your truck. Josh, what? Walk out of my car. What is this? And he's like, oh, it's my spit bucket, basically. And I was like, you freaking idiot.
You throw up?
No, but I had some good
Oh.
reactions.
I used to do some chewing tobacco, and
Yeah.
Lance, our partner with SoCal Gaming Expo, one time we were going to get arcade machines, and I was spitting.
Oh,
and he
dude.
thought he grabbed his water bottle.
No, you did it too.
Yeah, but I
did
mean, my dad
He
used to do the same
drank it,
thing.
and he turned deathly white, and he didn't talk for 10 minutes. And he pulled over to the side of the road, went to the gas station, and went in.
Yeah.
Said he put soap on his tongue and washed his
Oh,
mouth out
dude.
with soap.
If you actually visualize doing it, it's pretty rough.
No. My dad used to be like a hardcore dipper because he was into like softball and the baseball scene and all that stuff, and he was like doing it for like I would say like 20 years at the time.
Wow.
He doesn't do it anymore. He quit, which thank God. But he used to leave around his dip bottles everywhere, and I was a kid, I was kind of curious, and I was like, you just kind of thought it was like a Diet Coke. It was in a Coke like can. And I took a chug of it. I instantly was like, ugh.
I would be disgusted even by my own spit.
So
let alone
Ricky, it
somebody
sounds like you're
else's.
the only one. Have you drank any dip water?
My own dip water.
Whoa, what?
Well, no, sorry, that sounded horrible.
Ricky, what's your dip water?
So like for work, I used to drive to Loma Linda. It's like an hour drive, but as I'm driving, like I felt a little not sick, but I had like loogies. So I just
Dude, that's
I couldn't
gross
open
already.
the window because it's raining outside. So I'm like I'm just spitting them all. And by the end of the day, it's like hot, and I'm like, all right, cool. I bought a fresh water bottle. It wasn't cold, but I just put it next to my cup holder, and I'm just driving home. Ooh, this is good. This is good. I
actually
open
the
up
worst.
the
That's worse.
I open up the
worst.
the loogie one. Warm, disgusting
Hot.
loogies,
Not
and I
warm.
was literally like
Hot.
barfing, like oh,
Hot baked
dude,
loogies.
it was so bad. It was bad.
That's worse.
That's
than dip.
worse.
That's worse than
And
mid-load
it's your
trash,
own
dude.
loogies, but it's still worse.
At least it was my own, but it did
the
not.
fact that it got hot baked
like, dude,
makes
it was
it so
disgusting.
gross.
It's like a warm sunflower seed form at that point. Anyway, guys, we're gonna close out on that one, and we're gonna say thank
I'm
you
actually
guys.
grossed out. Sorry.
You're still
I'm
thinking
actually
about
grossed
it.
out. Yeah, that one.
Just vomited in my mouth.
We're gonna
Can I
close
swallow
out
it?
on that one. I just want to say that all the links in the description will be in the description below. All you guys that are audio listeners, all you guys that are watching in and tuning in, we want to say thank you as always. So, episode 12, close out.
Thank you, everybody. I
Thanks, guys.
appreciate you. Don't
Yeah.
drink your dip. That's just
Yeah, and
disgusting,
if it's
Ricky.
Halloween by now, happy Halloween.
Wait, welcome in your Halloween by barfing.
Halloween horror stories.
Breathe.